All right, welcome to a presentation for information system upgrades from Shindo Conference Center. My name is Scott Keef. I will be presenting and narrating the presentation for my business 302 class, BUS302 for Spring Arbor University. So we'll be looking at infrastructure and software and hardware for Machindo Conference Center and their information systems. Machindo is a 250-acre camp in the southern Hillsdale County area, and we get our name from being at the Machindo, Indiana, and Ohio borders. We actually get it from the board that created the camp. That's a whole other story. As you can see on our camp, we have an expansive camp with a very large infrastructure for everything from plumbing, electrical, to wireless. We have wireless net that goes throughout the whole camp, and it's a pretty expansive operation. What we're going to talk about right now is our upgrade goals. The first one is to better serve our guests, so that's being able to have less distractions for us so that we can give them less distractions and we can feel more able to have conversations and serve them. We also want to be able to better our business process flow, which means we can go more efficiently through our processes without having to wait for the internet to load, and that's more for our technicians out in the field than our people that sit at desks. And then we want to improve our communication all around to our guests, interdepartmentally, and outward towards the community as well. And all of these upgrades should give us better ability to do that. Our areas of focus are going to be our external and internal networks, our software and procedures, and our digitizing of facility data. First, we're going to talk about external networks. Our common complaint right now is that our internet is slow, and this is a complaint across the board. Doesn't matter which group of guest people we get complaints from or get our comment cards back. This is the number one thing we see, is that the internet's too slow. That wasn't a problem 10 years ago when you were supposed to be getting away from the world when you came to camp, but most of our groups now use internet videos and collaborative services to be able to communicate what they want to communicate, and they need the internet. So our biggest problem is our ISP is already underperforming. We're supposed to get a certain amount. We don't get that amount on a regular basis, and the reason is that they oversold the wireless antenna, which is how we get our internet. We get it wirelessly across the street. The proposal is to get a hardwire, the T1 fiber optic line, either to the lodge, or as a proposal about 10 years ago went, we would go to a building to be able to tap into our existing phone line system and use our existing phone lines as our backbone for the whole entire wired network. My suggestion would be a newer proposal where we just figure out how much it's going to cost to go straight into our network closet in the lodge, which is our central hub for the camp. So going straight into the camp hub, the lodge, would also give us more ability to expand in the future. A T1 line would give us just a ton of bandwidth that we don't even need right now. In the future, if we needed more, we would just have to pay for more. So that would be a huge benefit. We wouldn't have to add more lines. We wouldn't have to add a thicker line. We just say, hey, we want 10 more megabytes per second. Could you give that to us? Okay. Also, having a physical piece of hardware connected to the fiber in the lodge would give us the ability to expand for voice over IP situations, also to expand our current phone. So part of that is we have a wireless network that goes throughout the camp. It's a net of different hubs and senders and all sorts of things. My recommendation would be to get a professional site survey done of the whole camp, figure out where our weak spots are, and figure out where we have bleed over, and then maximize our coverage for the camp so that we have coverage all throughout camp. You don't have to think, well, I have to go stand in this corner of this building to get better internet so I can get connectivity so I can check what this file says about this group. It'd be much better to be able to do it right next to the leader and actually show them what you're doing. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is our internal network. So right now we currently have a 20-year-old server that is running Windows XP, which is an unsupported operating system. which is an open liability for corruption, for deletion, for any of that thing. And the problem with that is we do use a server for our some critical operational processes. A lot of them have been moved to a cloud-based system, but we do have a lot of information on that server that is somewhat sensitive, so we want to make sure we protect that. Getting a new server would give us our security back. Also, I would suggest an external firewall along with the firewall in the server, just to give us that extra background safety to be able to keep people from accessing our server. Having our server right next to our fiber optic line, which is in the same closet, would also give us more functionality if we had an upgrade of our phone system in the future, or if we wanted to do other things with our server and our network. It's just having that ability and the functionality that we don't need right now, but we could need in the future, would just add a whole bunch of benefit to our organization. Our second biggest complaint is our cell phone service. We are within a mile of the municipal airport for Hillsdale. We can't have towers within a certain radius. They can't build a certain radius next to an airport because of how tall they are and airplanes would hit them. So we can't have cell phone towers close to us, even if they were coming out this way. So our best bet is to put in boosters, and we do have a couple in the lodge that we've had for about 5 or 6 years. We just put a new one in down in the facilities shop, and it is probably our best one yet, and it's been right around the same price as the ones we had 6 years ago, but those aren't nearly as good. You can buy whole building signal boosters for $2,000 to $3,000, which may seem like a lot for a house, but for an organization and what it brings to the organization, that's not that much to ask. And my recommendation would be getting 3 of those, one for our lodge, one for our ministry center, and one for our rec center. All 3 of those buildings have pretty spotty coverage, and the 2 rec buildings are steel buildings, so they have no coverage at all. And like I said before, they're becoming less expensive as technology gets. So we're going to move on to our software and non-infrastructure things. Our existing softwares, we have Office 365 and CampWise. Both of these programs are very encompassing. They have a ton of information and a ton of functionality for our office and administrative staff. The problem is that they both require a sign-in. They are somewhat too robust to really function on a phone. There is some functionality in Office 365 for mobile devices. It's just not easy for somebody who has limited connectivity to be able to access. So it's great for our office staff, but for our techs, for fixing stuff in the basement, we don't have that kind of ability to have all the bandwidth to be able to get to the information on our little phones. So for that, we would need a different system. Right now, I am personally working on a facilities work order system between a service called Trello and between Google Sheets. They communicate between each other. Trello is a card-based collaborative system that allows you to just organize ideas based on lists and cards. It mimics our current paper system that we use. We use a paper work order system pretty well, and with a little bit of training, it would replace our current system, and I think it would work pretty well. The Google Sheet side of that would give us more functionality as far as the back end, so we can search all of our cards, we can sort them. I can see how many cards we have for each building if I sort it right. I can see how many hours we're spending on heating, venting, and air conditioning, HVAC, or plumbing, or electrical, or bulbs, how many bulbs we changed. All that kind of business strategic information I can find out on Google Sheets, which is one of the benefits and one of the things we're working towards with that facilities work order system. And the biggest thing is that those 2, I can send a link to anybody in an email, and they can click on that link and instantly go to the website, which is the Google Sheet or the Trello board, and they can see it. They don't have to sign in. That's our biggest benefit there. For social media, I just have to add this because it's supposed to be on the presentation. We don't really push a whole lot of social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus for however long Google Plus will survive, and Instagram And that's about it. We use them. We post pictures. We'll do a live feed quite often during summer camp. Other than that, we don't use it to advertise. We use it to engage the people we've already connected with. So it's not a huge push for us to have that social media in our organization. So one of the main things that I want to use as this presentation to set in the back of our organizational mind is to start working on a central database for our facilities. So the big problem right now is that there's a lot of information in filing cabinets in our facilities shop office, which is that's just how it is. That's how it used to be. And to get that information searchable and easily found would take a lot of work. And for that, I would request or recommend we get an in-shop server so that the facilities department doesn't feel like we're taking that information away from them because they feel like they own it, which they do. It would also give them the ability to access that information if we didn't have network connectivity in the wireless server. Shops are connected wirelessly to the lodge, so if we lost that connection, we wouldn't be able to access the information they need. If it's in a server in the office, just hop on the server and look the information up. So we want to keep it down there. We'd also need a document scanner that can do a lot of documents and big documents. We have blueprints, which would be awesome to be able to digitize. However, if we can't get a big one for blueprints, we can always get it done at the courthouse in town. We also have open source programs that I'm currently looking at to try and make up an asset management system that it will help kind of sieve through the information that would come into that. So that's in the works, but it's just something I'd like to put in an organizational back burner going forward, just so that we know that that needs to happen soon, so that we can get that information digitized and protected. In conclusion, what we want with all this information and what I feel it's going to do is just be able to boost our ability to use our resources efficiently. Being able to do that will be better stewards of what God has given us. And I feel like that's one of our main goals, is to just use what we have, what little we're given, glorify God the best way we can. And having these processes in the back, taking care of things automatically will help us do that. It also will help us to better serve our guests. If I'm not worrying about whether my phone works or not in the basement, I can feel better about talking to the guests instead of worrying about having to walk over to the door every once in a while and seeing if I have a voicemail. And that goes with our maintenance staff and all that. If we have better ability to kind of put those things at ease, we'll be able to serve people and communicate better, which is also our main goal. We also have less distraction, which goes along with that cell phone and the information. And we want to have less distractions for us, which means less distractions for our leaders, which means less distractions for our guests. And that's the goal, so that they can have a distraction-free environment to connect with Lord. And that's what we want. Also, thank you very much. That is the end of this presentation. Take a deep breath. We are done. I just want to thank you, and have a great rest of your day.